Now I already pulled the code, and so I'm going to try to feed that to the dealer. I'm going to talk to the service advisor and find out a few things from the guy, how much it might cost to get the car checked in and what maybe a repair could look like in terms of cost. We'll get into the overall cost sort of assessment around that whole thing. But let's go for a quick spin, head down to the dealer, and go talk to these guys first. Yeah, just a medium regular coffee. That's it. Good thing. So we've made it down to the dealership here now. And firstly, before we go and talk to the service guys, I want to explain to you what the code was. You saw in the last video, in my last vlog, it was a P209F. And that is essentially the reductant tank heater control circuit issue, as it were. Anyway, what that really boils down to is it's trying to tell you the diesel exhaust fluid, or the urea, which is the product that they use to inject into the exhaust to eliminate or reduce emissions on the diesel engines. That tank heater or the circuit or wiring or something associated with that heating system is not working. Now, in the BMW X5 diesels, the 35D, there's actually two tanks. And so I'll school you for a second if you guys don't already know this. There's two tanks. There's an active tank, which is up at the front in the right of the passenger side. So it's front right. And then there's a passive tank, which is the back left. It's at the back end of the car. Now, they both sort of work hand in hand, but the one on the right is the one that's utilized the most. That is the active tank. That is the one that's actually heated. The one at the back is passive. So if it freezes, you don't have that capacity. But the one at the front right is most important. It's heated. It's the one utilized for most of the activity. So that's the one you want to always make sure is full. That's the one that is always the one that is the most important. And that is where the heater is located. So that's the first place to look. Now, having done that research, there's really only a few things that could be part of this. Unfortunately, when you go to the dealer, like we're going to check here with the dealer in a moment, I'm going to walk into the service department and ask them what the whole particular is in the repair of this tank. My understanding is, doing online searches, is that these guys do not typically start replacing parts. They don't start taking the heater apart. They don't start taking little modules apart. They essentially take the whole tank, throw it in the garbage, bring in a new tank. And it's a pretty costly venture. I don't know how much exactly, but we're going to find out shortly. So let's go talk to Service Buddy and find out.
Don't wanna complication.
Wow, so I just came out of the service department, guys. I can't believe what these guys are trying to charge just to plug in a basic code reader. So they charge you this huge diagnostic fee. Now, maybe sometimes there are cases where they've got to dig really, really deep and it takes time. And I understand them trying to protect themselves from those situations. However, this seems obscene to me. So I stepped into the dealership. I asked the question. They actually quoted me to say standard $250 diagnostic charges. $250, guys. I don't know about you, but I know what kind of work it takes for me to earn $250, and that's not just a piss in the bucket. So I'll be honest with you, I'm not all that happy about this situation. What I am going to do, though, is I didn't get the quote on, what if. I already told the guy that I basically knew what the issue was, but he said they'd have to confirm it anyway, which is all fine. I get that. That part makes sense to me, but $250 for what would take probably 15 minutes of your time, maybe less. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do a little exercise, and I'm gonna show you what that really looks like in terms of time frame. I'm gonna run an exercise and break it down to the minute and how much these people are actually charging me to do this work. So I'm going to connect this up. So now that it's connected, I'm going to put the foot on the brake. I'm going to start the car. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait for this thing to see what it comes up with. Now it's just a waiting game. So initially it says unable, but it'll do a recycle, and a lot of these are pretty straightforward. You plug and play. They're really simple devices to use. See, now it does a reset. It's going to try again. I haven't touched anything yet. See, and there it is. P209F. And that as well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back, head home. I'm going to call the dealership parts department and find out how much to actually buy the part that I think is faulted on this situation. And I'm going to check with the other dealer in town here to see what they would charge as a basic rate just to check things out. So let's go make a couple calls, guys.
BMW, how may I direct your call?
Yeah, I'm looking for parts, please.
Absolutely, one moment, please. And great.
Parts department.
Hi, how you doing today?
Good yourself?
What I'm looking for is, how much is it for one of those, I've got an 09 BMW, the X5 35D, and I know the tank, well, I think there's a heater issue with that, so for the DEF.
Oh, so you're looking for the active tank or the passive tank?
I believe it's the active. Is that where the heater's at? I think it's the active tank.
Yeah, so let me go see here. I have one in stock. Okay, I have one in stock. List price would be $2,479.
$2,500, eh? And you have one in stock.
I got one there.
Okay, perfect. Okay, do you see a lot of these? Is this kind of a semi-common thing for these cars?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
It is, eh?
It always fails, yeah.
Okay. Okay, no, sounds great. Thanks again. I'll get back to you then. Okay, thanks. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, so obviously, guys, you know, after making a phone call, we found out how much it's going to cost to buy the part. Here we are having to contemplate the different options. What are the different options that we can engage ourselves on to make this fix? The first option, of course, being pay the dealer. The dealer's going to charge you the $2,500 for the part, plus their labor, taxes, shop rates, the whole 9 yards, the fees, all the bits and pieces that they add into the cost. That's probably going to be somewhere in that $3,000 to $3,500 range. Parts in for the dealer here in Canada to do that repair. The second option is just to buy the part from the parts department and take care of it yourself. That's an option too. If you're somewhat do-it-yourself kind of guy, maybe you're pretty handy, that might be an option. You'll save yourself a few $100 in labor, I'm sure. Still a very expensive repair. The third option is do away with all of the emissions equipment if it's legal to do so where you live. It's not legal in a lot of countries. You'd have to do a full-on bypass of all the emissions equipment, like the DEF and the DPF, the diesel particulate filter, and so on and so forth. There's some equipment in the intake you'd also have to swap out and blank off and whatnot. So you can do that, but you'd also have to send in your ECU for recoding, of course, to eliminate all those codes that would pop up as a result of all that equipment being gone. So that in itself has its downfalls. Obviously smoky, stinky. You're probably going to have issues with passing any sort of emissions. And of course, the cost in doing that, and the labor, of course, if you're doing it all yourself, it's still a pretty invasive job to do all that work, and it's still going to cost you. What it will save you is down the road some of these repairs. And another option is, I'm not going to give these guys a plug at this time because they haven't proven themselves. I stumbled across this company in Eastern Canada, in Ontario actually. They do a full-on repair. They sell you the repair parts, which is the heater itself and some bits and pieces. They actually have a kit that you can retrofit in the actual heater element within that tank. But the problem with that, of course, is it's very invasive, and you have to splice some wires, and you have to take a lot of equipment apart. Not just get the tank out, but you actually have to disassemble a lot of the equipment. So that's really diving in. And if you're handy that way, by all means. But I can't really say enough about them one way or the other, so I can't really advocate yet. But that is an option. Another option is, I've heard on the internet that there are, how we say, there have been, warranty extensions on some of these tank repairs if it's specific to that tank, the active tank. Now, I could not confirm that. Nobody's really throwing that out there as something, yeah, this is something we'll do for you. I don't know that. We'll have to investigate that a little bit further. But those are essentially your options, partially change it yourself, look at a warranty extension if they even have one available for your car, and of course, as I mentioned before, that actual retro kit. So those are the big things, guys. So I just want to end this vlog on that note. So it's not all over. This is just a challenge, and I like to look at every thing that stumbles across as a challenge. I look at it as in a positive light. I don't look at things on a negative tone. I see this as a bit of a challenge. And so I'm going to look at a few of the options, and in the next vlog, I'm going to share with you the way that I ended up going with this, guys. Those are the options, and I know a lot of you guys are experiencing the same issues. So make sure you check out the next vlog to find out what I did next and what are the other options that you can engage yourself with. So thanks again, everybody, and I hope to see you on the next vlog. Thanks for coming out. See you then, guys. Bye-bye.